which I think is really interesting. The Crawford-Canelo fight.
Beyond interesting. Fascinating.
Because how does Crawford compete with that size? Crawford is leapfrogging. He goes to super middleweight.
47 to 54 and now to 68.
And the Madrimov fight in 54 is a difficult fight.
Yeah. So who do you like in Canelo versus Crawford?
Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think he's one of those guys that if you tell him he can't do something, he wants to show you and shock the world.
1000%.
I also think Canelo is slowing down, and Canelo is more of a one-punch fighter now than the combination fighter he was when.
Which I think is really interesting. The Crawford-Canelo fight beyond interesting, fascinating. Just how does Crawford compete with that size? Crawford is leapfrogging. He goes to 47 to 54 and now to 68. And the Madrimova fight in 54 is difficult fight. Yeah. So, who do you like in Canelo versus Crawford? Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think he's one of those guys that if you tell him he can't do something, he wants to show you in shock. I also think Canelo is slowing down. And Canelo is more of a one-punch fighter now than the combination fighter he was when he was young. Roy Jones Jr. stunned boxing fans when he suddenly shifted his opinion on the upcoming mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
If Canelo's taking it serious, it's going to be a much harder fight for Bud than I anticipated. I still think Bud has the skill to beat anybody on any night, but so does Canelo.
If Canelo is taking it serious, it's going to be a much harder fight for Bud than I anticipated. I still think Bud has the skill to beat anybody on any night, but so does Canelo. At first, he leaned towards Crawford as the man more likely to come out on top. But after seeing how serious Canelo has been in camp, he admitted it might not be as straightforward as he once thought. Jones explained that the preparation on display, especially Canelo sparring with fighters who can switch stances the way Crawford does, has made the clash far harder to call. It showed that Canelo was motivated, focused, and ready to push himself for this test. And that new outlook from Jones immediately set the tone for what many are calling the fight of the century. Man, I have mixed feelings. You know, I have mixed feelings. And emotionally, I'm very happy that the fight is happening because it's a great fight for both fighters. Initially, I thought maybe Kano didn't have the hunger to go out there really try to keep Bud off of him or try to get go at Bud. You know, the stage could not be bigger. On Saturday, September 13th, under the lights of Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez will defend his undisputed super middleweight crown against Terence "Bud" Crawford, the undefeated American stepping up 2 weight classes for the chance to etch his name into history. For Crawford, now 37 years old, this is not just another fight. It is a chance to become the first man to secure undisputed championships across 3 separate divisions, having already claimed that honor at both super lightweight and welterweight. The stakes are massive, the spotlight is blinding, and anticipation across the boxing world has reached fever pitch. He's a dog. He's a beast, and he's out to prove something, too. So, I'm excited about this fight. Canelo obviously is self-explanatory. It's really no need to go down the rabbit hole when it comes to him. But I do see this being as a 50-50 fight, but if I was a betting man, I would bet on Crawford. But also too, you can't count Canelo out. I mean, he's would go in, I'm assuming, as the favorite, which is rightfully so. Timothy Bradley has not been shy about where he stands. He has been adamant that Crawford will not only win, but will do it in dramatic fashion. Bradley sees the Omaha native delivering one of the greatest displays the sport has ever witnessed, dismantling Canelo once he adjusts to the heavier man's power. He believes the difference will be so stark that it won't even look like a fair contest once Crawford gets his rhythm. For Bradley, the story ends with Canelo on the canvas and the cameras capturing history as Crawford delivers a knockout that boxing fans will talk about for generations. One more thing, it don't matter if Canelo is on that. He ain't beat no thrower. You heard it here at first. Plus, I look at the performances of Canelo. I look at his last performances. I mean, they've been alright. You know, they ain't been like, wow, blew me away. So, I'm not really worried about all of that. And the same thing goes with Crawford. I know he's with Snack and I know some news came out this week and all of that, but I personally believe that Snack is clean. I think it's a confidence of interest, the fact that hey, he knows how to beat the system, quote unquote Nick Dante, but at the same time I think snack, you got products going around the world this and that. I mean, all these athletes are testing, they not testing anything or positive by using snack at all, so I think it's safe, there's no doubt about it. So with that being said, I'm not worried about that as long as they testing I'm good. While Bradley paints a picture of Crawford domination. Mexican legend Julio Cesar Chavez as senior offers the opposite outlook. The three-division champion sees size and power as the deciding factors. And from his perspective, Canelo is simply too big, too strong, and too well established at 168 pounds for Crawford to handle. Chavez predicts a mid-fight stoppage, envisioning Canelo breaking down his opponent within 6 or 7 rounds. In his eyes, Crawford may have brilliance, but weight classes exist for a reason, and he suspects that reality will catch up with the American once the exchanges get heavier. The two fighters are going to be different weight classes even though they're going to fight on a specific weight. He believes that they're just going because of the money. Crawford, but probably Canelo is going to knock him. Other respected voices in the sport have chimed in with their own perspectives, each adding to the intrigue of this matchup. Dimitri Bivol, one of only 2 men to hand Canelo a defeat, was at first skeptical about Crawford jumping up so far in weight. Yet, after recently seeing him in person, Bivol admitted Crawford looked bigger than expected and well prepared physically. He acknowledged the American's elite skill set, which could definitely carry him to victory, but stopped short of making a bold prediction, pointing out that the fight carries too many small variables to be easily predicted. First reaction, of course, it was about size of Crawford. Is it okay for him to move up for 2 weight classes? Yeah. And he has very good skill. Is he able to win this fight? But there is a lot of there is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He need to get used to the power and pressure of 168. Maybe he will get used to it and how he will be feeling himself in the same day when he go fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use the 2 boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course. British fighter Hamza Shiraz, who has recently been making waves himself and is eyeing a potential showdown with Canelo down the line, has also been keeping a close watch on the situation, coming off an emphatic win over Edgar Berlanga, a man Canelo could not stop. Shiraz believes Canelo will still prevail in this matchup. For him, the Mexican's experience, power, and comfort at super middleweight make the difference, and he anticipates Canelo walking out with his hand raised. Who's the next? Could it be Canelo? It could be. It could be. And I feel like I've done what's required of me to earn that fight. Some people might disagree, but I believe I've done enough. And it's about staying switched on, staying concentrated, and just beating whoever they put in my way. How do you expect his fight with Taran in September? I expect the fight to be very competitive for the first 6 rounds and then Canelo to take over and dominate. Carl Frampton looks at the fight through a different lens. He has long admired both men, but he believes Crawford's style and timing could be enough to expose some of the cracks he sees developing in Canelo. Frampton notes that the Mexican is not as quick on his feet as he once was, and trying to trap Crawford could leave him chasing shadows. He imagines a scenario where Crawford stays on the outside, uses his range, and outboxes Canelo to a points win, even if it means the contest lacks explosive moments. I think it's a great fight. It may not be the best fight in the world to watch, you know. I think that for Crawford to win, it'll have to be a boring fight. I think he uses distance in his movement, but I think Canelo's feet are a little bit slower now than they used to be. I think Crawford wins. I said it when he beat Earl Spence and everybody laughed at me. I said it that long ago. And I genuinely believe that Crawford wins. Antonio Tarver shares the belief that Crawford has the tools to shock the world once more. He doesn't dismiss the dangers Canelo brings to the ring, but he points to Crawford's mental sharpness and ability to adapt as major keys. In Tarver's eyes, this is not about who is stronger or heavier, but about who can make the right decisions under pressure. Crawford's quickness, creativity, and ability to throw Canelo off rhythm could prove decisive if he stays disciplined. Terrence got to be Terrence, bro. He's a real deep thinker. Deep thinker. He processed fights like nobody else. And he's processed this Canelo fight. He's seen it. He went through it 2 or 3 times already. He knows how this ends. You can tell the way he shadowboxes. He visualizing Canelo being right there in front of him. You understand? Look at the movement. That's all you got to do. Look at the movement. And that's the type of master boxer that Canelo is going to be facing. And the only thing I say is Canelo hasn't faced an opponent like this in a long time. You know what I mean? I think Canelo is going to have to go back to the Caleb Plant fight and look that good, that active, that, you feel me? Moving with that type of grace to beat Terence Crawford. 'Cause weight ain't going to make the difference. It ain't going to be the weight, it's going to be the skill set. Aris Lindy Lara, who once shared the ring with Canelo in a controversial fight,